Hello and welcome to the Solo RolePlayers podcast. I am your host PJ, and today I am very excited to get to the table a little game I've been nearly getting to the table quite a lot in the last few weeks. I first mentioned it a few episodes back as one of the new games to my household that I was keen to get to the table soon. I haven't learned it because that would be crazy, but I have read through enough of it to get a feel for what it is, and there are some really, really interesting things in here. Without burying the lead, this is Beetle Night, a bug-sized role-playing game by Jim Hall of Brooklet Games. This is just, as I said on that other episode, this is just a delight of a product for me. It is that perfect balance between, I don't want to use the word cheap, but cheap in a good way. Affordable. It's not over the top. It's not overproduced. It is a very nice feeling, folded A5 zine type format, but with considerations. I assume, I feel like considerations been made that the quality and feel and layout of this stuff is priority over fancy, glossy, over-the-top production that gets in the way or raises up the price or all those kinds of things.
Right. I mean, it's literally handmade. So, it's a great quality. It has a great quality. I love to feel it. I love to hold it.
Now, I believe this game you can get very, very affordably, if not even free, on places like DriveThru RPG. Head to Brooklet Games and check it all out there. It's a wonderful package. I really appreciate everything about it, all the choice of colors and design and simplicity and artwork, the way that the main books are laid out. Today I'm going to be looking pretty much at the core size rules, the Beetle of the Lonely Banner, which is solo play procedures for this game, also physically printed out in a nice thicker cardstock, and the Litterfall World Guide. There are a few other things that came with it. I believe this is an adventure, the Elmroot Glimmer, and there was something else as well. But for now, I'm just going to be focusing on this. I'm only going to be using materials from this game, at least that is my plan so far. I don't believe that I will need or even want to pull in anything else. Having lots of tables and books and content can be really great. It can also slow you down and put you in decision analysis paralysis situations, which we want to avoid at all costs. More important is to keep the flow going. I have here in front of me Beetle Night, the core rules, the Litterfall World Guide, Beetle of the Lonely Banner, and a single double-sided printed page, including on one side with my character sheet, which I'm yet to make, and on the other side, this really cool idea, a multi-layered hex map. And that is because we're beetles, and we're climbing up and around from the underground up to the forest floor and up to the canopy. And it's a really cool, from what I glimpsed at, it's a really cool system for building out this hex map and connecting the different layers to each other. I'm really excited to try that. And there are a couple of other really interesting ideas in here as well, including what I think is very inspired and superb for solo play, which is this rumors system. And I'll get into it in a second. But the setup is that you're going through to find the culprit, some creature that is causing problems, and as you go along, you discover and unlock clues about them. And the key thing is, you don't have a GM that knows the clues in advance and are just giving them to you, the player, but rather those clues become true as you go through and find them. And you're basically building up features or stats or specific things about this creature that become true as you figure that out. And that, to me, is a really inspired design for solo play and something that I want to explore further. But first, let's see what this game is and how it actually works. Beetle Night by Jim Hall.
Hi, I'm Jim Hall from Brooklet Games, designer of the bug-sized role-playing game Beetle Night.
Deep in the rotting log that is the millipede's fortress, a disease spreads like wildfire. No one knows the source. Perhaps they discovered something left by the termites long ago. Innocent flies have been disappearing. Many seem to know something but are too scared to speak. All the while, moss covers once clean nests. Mantises have suddenly begun uncharacteristically blocking all passage through their territory. All, that is, but the strongest diggers. The Waterskater clan has stopped delivering cargo. Nobody knows why. Though recently, iridescent waves of a strange gas waft through the air over the pond. The feared Fire Ant Nation has been quiet for a long time. Now they have started incursions into the peaceful lands to the east, and rumour has it they bear powerful new weapons. The Summer Web Festival was cancelled suddenly, and the Orb Weaver Queen has stopped talking to everyone. Has the brash new leader of the court of the Catetids spoken too brazenly?
There was a moment when I was playing with some folks online and describing a scene. You're walking down this path and the grass is growing overhead with dappled light falling through, and the guy's like, "Oh, wow, that really like puts me in to the bug's claws, as it were," and it's fun to step into that different space.
As always, I'm going to be looking at this game through the frame of the solo role player, and this little bit that I just read is called the Histories and Mysteries section, and something that is, of course, great for group games, but as the solo role player, this is really attractive to me because it gives you a number of possible angles. I assume you don't have to choose any of these necessarily, but it just gives you just hints of things happening in the world that are broad enough and vague enough that you could fill in all sorts of details yourself. And I think that is where good solo roleplay lives, and actually good DM design, good RPG design lives.
I mean, have you read, well, I'm sure you have, like the 5e books are like, they're super verbose. Like I got the Eberron book because I wanted to run something in Eberron, and you know, you have to read a friggin' book in order to run, but and so at the same time, I'm seeing these small zines and sometimes even pamphlets. I mean, all right, Knock, the dust cover of Knock has an adventure that you can run for weeks. And so why am I reading a whole book when I could use a sheet of paper or, you know, a 24-page zine or something like that and have just as much fun? Also, those sorts of like those 5e adventures, and it goes back further, but like they're kind of prescriptive, where when you have a very simple prompt, you know, 1 or 2 words, you have to fill in the gaps. And so it's a little bit more fluid and creative. So like now when I'm playing with the groups that I play in, I will often write just a single word or maybe 4 words to describe an encounter or a location, and the rest just comes from the play.
In Beetle Knight, you play as arthropods designated by the Iridescent Order as protectors of the realm of Litterfall. You're thus duty-bound to travel the world helping those in need. So that's really great. Already we have a setup of a role. We're a knight. We're a Beetle Knight, and it is our job to go out there and to figure out what's going on and protect the weak. And here it says we are driven by honor to investigate the mysteries of the realm. Very cool, especially for a small little game like this. I'm really happy to have a very clear direction on that. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm now going to go and randomly roll up a character here, and we'll come back and then introduce you to who that character is. As you know, usually I would maybe go and look into the world a bit more first and build a bit of a bigger plot before creating a character. But I think in this game, I don't think that's as important, and I think it will be fun to just roll everything up randomly and just see how we go. So I'm going to go off and do that now.
I had been playing Hollow Knight, obviously. So just like thematically, the idea of playing bugs was on my mind, and it started off as just a little pamphlet. Now it's, a whole booklet, but it started off as just literally a pamphlet. So two sides of a piece of paper.
And that is a bug. Coming back to the main feed now from the character creation. I did record the character creation and actually streamed it, broadcast it out on the radio in the Discord, because why not? That's a fun thing to do. But yeah, to just go through the character, what we did was we choose our abilities. So you distribute what die goes to each ability. You have might, intellect, presence, agility, and defense, and you choose an array of dice to put into that, usually ranging from, usually selecting between D4, 6, 6, and 8. But when you play solo, you promote everything. You bump everything up one. So we get a D6, 2 D8s, and a D10. Then you have a defense. Then you mix in all your species abilities, choose your emblems, create a special item. We got a Shellerang, which is kind of awesome. It's a boomerang made out of shell, I assume, and it's a D8 weapon that is ranged. We also learned that we are very strong, not very smart, but very charismatic. People like us, and surprisingly agile. And as our main weapon, we randomly rolled a chunk of obsidian, which I imagine is just a huge chunk of rock that we, the big Beetle, carry around and go smash with. We also got to do a call to knighthood. Why are we here in the first place? And we rolled up that we are third in the line for the throne, and we don't understand why that is. And before we could find out, Mother went off to join the oath. And so what we then followed her to join ourselves, to track her down and find out why we were passed over and get justice and be put back first in line, or prove our mettle, perhaps. Maybe it's because the younger siblings had already proven themselves in battle, or whatever it is cockroaches do, and maybe we have to prove ourselves. And we want justice and have our ordained title as first in line for the throne. Whether it's a big throne or a little throne, I'm not yet sure. We also, we got to make, we got to create a special item, which actually I forgot to note down the special ability for, which is that it gives us an additional emblem, an additional slot. What the emblems are, is they are basically your magic or your special abilities, and you spend resolve to activate them.
The game started off quite rules light. I call it rules medium now because it is a bit crunchy.
So the way this works is that whenever you're doing something and need to make a roll, you do a contest roll. And so what you do is you take you basically roll off against each other. You're rolling off the DM or off against the NPC or the difficulty of the thing. And in the solo rules here, there is like a sliding scale of difficulty to see what the level of challenge actually is. So we're given in fact, there was a solo sheet printout here somewhere. Let me find that. And don't forget, I did not mention, there is a just adorable cutout paper standees of bugs, which I really love. I have to cut them out.
Yeah, those are by Evelyn Moreau, and she just had those. She's got a Patreon where you can back it, and then you get access to her art to use in projects. She just had those. So we're aligned, her and I, sometimes.
Just the core. In fact, I think we've basically done the core rules. We'll get to resting and stuff when that actually happens. So all I'm going to do, as is PJ style, I'm just going to start playing. I'm first going to just look at what this mayhem number is and understand that for the solo rules. And then we're going to set the scene as recommended in the solo book. And then we're just going to start playing because happily, which is often very good for solo play, this looks to be quite a procedural game. So, the mayhem number in the solo rules represents the amount of chaos or high stakes.
It is at this point that our narrator goes off and talks for some inordinate amount of time about exactly the thing he said he wasn't going to talk about. He couldn't even figure out how the damn thing worked in the end. If you want to hear that drivel, I assume it's in the extended version of this episode, but if you ask me, frankly, I wouldn't bother.
So try as I might, I actually don't understand the yes or no oracle in this. And I actually don't think that matters. I don't know if it's an oversight, if it wasn't tested, or if I'm just completely missing it. What I'm going to do is just use my patented yes oracle, which that is not its real name, although knowing me and my projects, I usually call things something silly with the intention to change the working title later, and of course it always ends up with the silly title. Just see my username. I'm playing all my games with my own little oracle now. If you don't know what that is, I have talked about it a few times. I'm not sure anymore where I've talked about it on various places of the internet and the interviews and premium versus public episodes, all that sort of stuff. Suffice to say, it is an oracle that does the job an oracle should do, which is answer a yes or no, but also adds optional flavor to it. Not important. I will talk more about it at length in the future, if and when I galvanize it, he says, borrowing the first word off the open-ended questions action table, into my own little module later down the track. Keep an ear out for that. Moving on, sidetracked. We have an oracle, which I don't understand. That's fine. We also then have open-ended questions, your standard D20 table. For example, 2, 8, and 15 would be converge the enchantment. Excellent. I do like using tables that come with a book because, I don't know, they're written by the author who did the book usually, or at least someone thinking about that particular game, and therefore I feel I'm maybe more closely tied to the thematics of that game. Basically, the way this works, this is very simple. As I said, it basically is a way to give you a challenge rating for anything that you want to try and do, which shifts up and down just like Mythic does, in order to make that number not static, but rather dynamic.
So with the mayhem mechanic, I think what it does is it gives you the ability to progress the tension of a game. And it does that successfully, I think. So when I played with Elmroot Glimmer, I was using the Beetle of the Lonely Banner rules, the solo rules to play. However, when I play Litterfall, I just kind of played it kind of straight with just a simple oracle. I think the tension is built in.
That is the whole thing of the rules. Now, it does come with a solo session worksheet, which gives us the mayhem rating. It also asks us for a session goal, setting the scene, session notes, and key questions. Asked, level, result. Maybe that is more closely tied to the oracle. Not sure I need that, actually. I do like the idea of setting a session goal in general. That might be something worth doing all the time, always, and setting your opening scene. So it says the first thing you want to do is set a scene. Let's follow the instructions. Let's set a scene here. I think let's set a scene by first finding out where we are. So we're gonna find our starting hex. Let's go to the hex system, which I believe is in the Litterfall World Guide. Draw for hex locations. We need a deck of cards.
The idea of a zero prep crawl that you could play solo or play at the table is kind of the mechanical underpinnings of Litterfall and Escape the City. So.
Remember, these hexes are multi-layered. This is 3 layers of the forest floor. We have the underground, the forest floor, and the canopy, and we have a list down the side of what those locations are with the appropriate 2, 3, like number, Jack, Queen, King, Ace, and the appropriate suit, all listed there. I think it's not so much suit as it is red or black. So let's go. Determine the level. Use the level as instructed or roll a d6. Currently, we don't have a level as instructed because we're just starting. So we're going to roll a d6 and we get a 3, which gives us the forest floor. We are starting on the forest floor. Then we get to determine the hex position. Draw a card from the deck from which you last drew. Interesting. We get a Jack of Diamonds, a red Jack. We can see now in the forest floor that I now spot, the hexes are numbered 2 to 10 and then Jack to Ace. So a Jack is right down in the bottom left-hand corner here. That is excellent. Now we can find out rumors. Some locations and encounters reveal rumors about the instigator. Okay, we're not at that. We're not there yet. So how do I find some sort of description of this hex? But this, I'm going to stop on rumors for a second because this is something that really stood out to me as a cool idea in general, but especially for solo roleplay, is that you are trying to hunt down this particular baddie, and in order to find them, you need to learn more about them. And you learn that through investigating and getting rumors. And those things about them, like what type of creature they are, what sort of damage they do, what sort of resistances they have, become true as you discover it. And that is an inspiring little mechanic that I certainly plan to explore more in the future with other things. And basically, after you draw 4 rumors and learn the location, that's when you get to go face off the big boss. Love that as an idea.
You build it while you play, and paint it like a mystery. But the cool thing is you can start making decisions. So, if you get to a place or the way that things go down, you have like multiple, each layer has a sort of target that you're going after. The top, the treetops, the Litterfall and underground. And so you can make a decision on who you want to go after you're learning some of these secrets. And so like you can actually base your decision making off of this generated content.
What I'm looking for now is how do I populate my hex? And now we don't want to start in a safe location. We want to start mise en scène. Here we go. Locations, forest floor. That is where we are. So we're going to draw another card now to see what this location is. And that is a Ace of Clubs. Blacks are encounters. Reds are locations. I guess so. Okay, well then we're starting with an encounter. Great. Ace of Clubs is a rough-skinned newt named Bowler hides under the foliage awaiting a meal. Bugs. Prefers ants. She is infamous and has defeated many knights. Okay, and there's something hidden there about her we don't know. Let's then just use this Jack that we drew earlier to give us a description of the location, because we need that as well. And then we're going to go straight into our scene, coming across this hidden newt who may try to attack us. The Jack of Diamonds in the loam under a mound of mouldy leaves, a tunnel descends into the darkness below. It was made by a monstrous beast long ago. 2 exits now. Let me check how... Okay, first I'm going to draw my little burial mound. One of them is going to go down into the underground, and I'm just going to connect that myself to the place that makes sense in the underground. A curved tunnel passes above and below thick roots in the darkness. Markings in many languages can be felt carved on the walls. Okay. And actions draw a rumor. Okay. Cool. So here's what... This is what I've been doing sometimes, actually. This is a good example of it. I'm kind of don't know where to start with this, so I just start pushing buttons. Just start playing with mechanics and see what starts to form. And now things are starting to form. I'm making this too. This underground thing is the place I've just come from. It has 2 exits, and I believe, most of the exits are just exits, and then occasionally you get one which says you may ascend to the forest floor. Okay, so they let you change levels, basically. It also tells us to draw a rumor. So this is the rumor that pushed us up into the forest floor. That's what I'm going with at this point. I'm also going to create a safe location. And I think I'm going to create that presumably where we came from, in that third hex. And then that gives us our starting 3 hexes, which sort of shows the beginning of our journey. There are safe locations here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So I'm going to roll a D8. Tincania. Interesting. So this is a gargantuan fortress of brimstone, petrified wood, and amber. That's great because we have some roots coming down anyway. Petrified wood and amber. The structure itself resembles a gnarled tree turned to stone. Good. So this is like a buried log, a log forgotten to time that's been petrified, and it's just a big buried log. So I'm going to say, is there more than one exit? No. So the reason there is only one exit is one has been blocked off intentionally to stop some kind of a invasion of some sort. Maybe this is where, let's go back to our book here, our rule book, and see what those rumors were about who was invading here. The Fire Ant Nation has been quiet for a long time. Now they've started incursions into the peaceful lands to the east. Okay. So, if they're incursioning, if they are invading into the lands in the east, we are in the east, then they are coming from the west, and I'm going to draw a big blockage, like a big collapsed sort of pieces of rubble or a wall sort of thing built by stones in order to try and block off this part of the map where the fire ants were coming through. And they may well be trying to push through from other hexes from that side. There is another exit, however, and that is going to be either to the east or to the southeast. For this one, I want actually random, so I'm going to just roll, and if we have even or odd, that's odd. I said even or odd, so this is going to be southeast. So we have another entry going that way, and now I'm going to draw my log. I like the idea that like the branch from the top of the log is what turns into this exit into the tunnels. Okay, and this was Tincania. We're not going to read any more about this yet because that is where we came from. We're not currently there. We currently have we are currently about to go into the forest floor for the first time. I think we come from the underground. Maybe we even come from Tincania, I think. That's our homeland, home log. And first we now need to draw a rumor, which is the thing that has set us out to prove ourselves. Let's see how rumors work. Rumors. Here we go. See page 55. Okay, let's see a rumor. 2 of diamonds is the rumor we discovered back in Tincania is that whatever this instigator is, whatever this beast is that is causing trouble, is covered in eyes and cannot be surprised. I'm going to make a note of that. Okay, so they are covered in eyes and cannot be surprised. I do like that we are building up what this thing is. When you travel to the camp of the instigator, then you find out what it is with the abilities that you've rolled up. Okay, so that is what happened. We have now, I'm already really liking the look of my little underground map. We have come out into the real world, into the forest floor now. We have one rumor about this thing, that it is covered in eyes. If we draw 3 more, we are going to find out its location and then travel to it. As we walk into this part of the forest, first thing I'm going to do is now do an actual mechanic. Let's remind myself of what this encounter was. Rough-skinned newt named Bowler hides under the foliage awaiting a meal. Bugs. Prefers ants. She's infamous and has defeated many knights. Okay, so we're walking out and we're creeping out for the first time into the forest floor, and as we poke our heads outside of this burrow, everything is sort of quiet. Let's do a little sense roll here. Sight, smell, sound, taste, touch, feel. And I think that we are surprised at the feeling of the dry, crinkling leaves underneath our little beetle feet, because we have spent our entire life underground, and so we're used to everything being moist and damp, and this is a crinkly sound and dry feeling, and it's very unusual for us, and that's sort of what we notice. Now, this crinkling has probably given away our location to the rough-skinned newt named Bowler. I'm going to ask, I think it's likely, so I'm going to ask my Yes Oracle, has that given away our location? The answer is both under, which is a very much yes. Now, because the red is higher, in this case it means that the flavor with this question is aggressive, impulsive, passionate, that kind of hotter emotions. And so I think what that means is yes, it's extreme yes, because it's both under. That means yes, it did give away a location, and straight away this rough-skinned newt named Bowler leaps out from under the foliage and tries to attack us, moving straight into combat.
Well, I had this idea for a mechanic of the contest rolls where each party rolls a die, you see which one is higher to win. And then you can change the size of the die to give yourself an advantage in the roll. So I had that idea for a mechanic. Originally, it was like a wizard duel idea that I had that I might still create at some point. I don't know. Where you have like a tower, and then you have resources, and you cast spells, and each component of the spell has a die. But it's just like kind of too crunchy, and I couldn't figure it out.
So, combat. Beetle Knight uses group initiative. At the beginning of the turn, a player rolls d6. On a 1 to 3, the foes goes first. On 4 to 6, the party goes first. Now, I want to see about surprise. I think there's a fairly good chance that we are surprised. And I'm going to do that by rolling a contest, I think. Basically, is our reaction quick enough to be able to still roll for initiative rather than just losing the initiative? Now, what was she? A newt. Let's see if we can find some sort of a newt. Beelzebuzz. Here we go. Rough-skinned newt. 36 hit points. Oh my god. Okay, this definitely might be a runaway type situation, but let's see what happens. They are going to roll their might, intelligence, probably their agility, I would say. Might is lifting, climbing, intelligence, insight, law, investigation. Presence is persuading, performing, agility, running, jumping, sneaking, stealing. So yeah, they're going to roll their agility against our agility, and we're going to use that to decide who goes first. Okay, let's go with that. So their agility is using a d8. Our agility is using a d8 as well. So that is a straight roll off. I only have one here, so I'm going to roll it for both. We get an 8, and they get a 4. So this newt, which was hiding underneath a little patch of sticks or something like that, leaps out and tries to just belly flop and flatten us as it is its technique. It also has some sort of toxin. So it tries to leap on top of us. We manage to get out of the way, and we get an attack into this thing. So, how this works. During combat, each creature has 3 actions. 3 actions, I like that. Creatures may use any of the actions below up to 3 times, but must temporarily demote the die for each additional action. That is simple, but I really like it. You want to attack 3 times, you're going to be demoting your die each time. Now, we have a ranged weapon only. Oh no, we have a ranged weapon, and we have a big club. A big D20 obsidian club. We can only use a D10. But that's okay. So we leap out of the way as this thing belly flops near us, and we continue reading the rules. When attacking, the attacker rolls their damage and the defender rolls their defense. Okay, their defense die was a D10 plus 2, and we are rolling a D10. So we're going to be the red die, they're going to be the blue die. We roll a 9, they roll a 13. Oh, no, sorry. They roll a 3. Plus 2 is 5. So we win it with a 9. If the attack roll is less than the defense roll, it fails. If the damage exceeds the defense, subtract the difference from the defender's health. Okay, so they have 36 health, and we have just managed to hit them for 4. Okay, that's rough. Now, maybe we should be reducing this because we're a single party. I think that's pretty fair. Now, this comes back to Mythic and Tana Pigeons. I can't remember what it's called, the multiplier or diminisher value, which is in order to make it work, you need to diminish it by a certain amount. We're going to make it a third. I think that's nice and clean. I'm not going to do it for its skills, actually, because those would be the same anyway, but I'm going to do it just for its hit points and possibly armor if armor existed, but I don't think it does. So a third of 36 is going to be 12. We'll do 4 damage. That's nice. I like it to be a little bit faster. So it's down to 8 hit points. So that was one action, was us attacking. That was a melee attack. We can also activate an emblem, which we're going to do. So we have been waiting to get out into the world and prove our mettle, and we were almost looking for something, looking for trouble, as it were. And so as we managed to just, by the skin of our teeth, get out of the way of this belly-flopping newt and step out of the way, clock it on the head with my big obsidian club, and we are ready for action. So I'm going to straight away use my emblem, which is basically magic. So use a resolve, bringing me down to 5, and I can do a short teleport of 3 centimeters. Now this thing moves, it crawls 8 centimeters, so it can still get to us, but it's no longer within melee range of us. So we step back, make just that little bit of distance, and then we're going to try our ranged attack. Ranged attacks are attacks from a distance with ranged weapons. Imagine that. Must be over 1 centimeter away and target under 12 centimeters. That's great. If it's within 1 centimeter, you can do it, but you demote the attack. Okay. Now, what counts as an action? I guess this is an attack action. So there's action is swapping weapons. You may use one action to disengage. After doing so, you may use the move action without receiving an opportunity attack. Okay, so they will get an opportunity attack if we try and get away, except surely with our short teleport, we can disengage without doing it. So our second action is the short teleport. Our third action is going to be attack again. Or are we going to try and talk to it and say, hey, you don't want me? I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to zip out of the way and we're going to say, hey, I don't want anything. I'm sorry I had to bonk you on the head there, but I don't want any harm. I'm just passing through. I'm looking for... I have a quest. So let's see. Let's just roll up this creature's personality. I'm just using my null dice here, and I do have a talk symbol and I have a money symbol. So they may be open to talking at this point, because really their favorite thing are ants. So I'm going to allow me to do a presence roll against a difficulty to see if... I don't have to roll it against them, I don't think. I'm just going to roll it against a difficulty to see if that plays out. Now, looking at our thing here, it's going to be easy, medium, or difficult. I'm going to say, is it medium? With my oracle, the answer is no, with the red being higher. So I think because this thing is now in the passion of battle and hunger, I think that's going to make it actually difficult. Meaning that we need to get a 9 in order to... we need to get a 9 in order to convince this thing. And we are rolling a d8 plus 1. So we need to roll an 8 in order to convince it. And so we say, hey, I'm not really what you want. Let me pass through. We might even be able to help each other. We roll a 7, unfortunately, giving us 8. And so this thing is too crazed to listen to us. And it attacks again. We have done our 3 actions. Now, one of them was trying to... Speaking. You can speak in short phrases without expending an action. Okay. I think we have another action then. So this thing clearly, I don't know. I think I'm going to make that an action that we said that. We tried to convince them. I would rule that is an action to do it. It's not just saying, hey, duck. It's actually trying to get a point across and hoping that it does happen. So they are now going to go and they are going to try and bite me. Now, as a reaction, each turn you have one reaction. You can assist or do an opportunity attack. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean I can dodge, but that's okay. So it is going to roll its d12 against my d12 defense. Its roll is a 5. My defense is a 9 plus 1. So it goes to do a bite at me, and its teeth sort of bounce off my very hard, roachy shell as it does. And I don't think it's going to do anything else. I'm going to let them do one attack each turn. It doesn't tell me how to run foes. So many foes hold emblems, okay. When a foe dies, there's a 4 in 6 chance that all of their emblems are destroyed. Fair enough. Otherwise, randomly select an emblem for the foe to drop. Okay, so the emblems are everywhere.
I had been playing Hollow Knight, obviously, and my friends and I did a collaborative world building session where we created a world. And this world, all the characters were bugs on the back of this giant, continent-sized giant. Was actually a baby, but it's still very large, swimming through an ocean of sugar water. Just zany stuff that comes up in those sorts of exercises. So just like thematically, the idea of playing bugs was on my mind, and it started off as just a little pamphlet.
I'm going to roll my defense at advantage, which is good. That was a 1. And another 1. Excellent. So we get 2 for our defense. And it does manage to come out and bonk us for a 6 damage, which takes us down to 14 hit points. So although we see where it's coming, we see that it sort of slips under a leaf and we're thinking to ourselves, haha, I can see that you're there, I know what you're doing. However, when it jumps out, we maybe misjudge our footing because of the unfamiliar foliage on the ground, and it does manage to get a bite into the side of my shell, which sort of pierces the shell a little bit and hurts really a lot. And now we are going to go back into initiative, and we are going to keep smashing. We're going to do the same thing as it, or use our big emblem, which is a crack, which at a 5 centimeter range, I think we're going to do it. Crack is spend 3 resolve at a range of 5 radius and make a single attack roll with casting. All creatures within range roll might against the result. So our casting is from our presence. That's going to be a d8 plus 1. And it has to roll its might, which unfortunately is a d20. I think it's not worth it. But hey, narratively, I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to spend our resolve down to 2 resolve to release our emblem in an attempt to try and push this thing back. And I will say maybe we get to sort of push it back. So we're rolling a d8. It is rolling a d20 in defense, unfortunately. It rolls an 18. We roll a 3. So we call on the powers of this emblem, and this little crack, it sounds bigger if you're as small as a bug, this little crack sort of shockwave Witcher style thing goes out around it and attempts to push this thing back. Does it push it back a little bit even though it doesn't hurt it? Yes, it does. So it knocks it back just sort of out of range a little bit. So we'll have to move to get up to us. Is it going to keep attacking? Now we're looking at a morale type situation because it is pretty hurt. Is it going to keep attacking? No, it doesn't. With the cold considered being higher, this thing realizes that I'm probably not that good at eating anyway. I'm very hard shelled, and it sort of slinks away and sort of disappears under the leaves and leaving the fight. Okay, so that was a battle against a newt. We got to use a couple of emblems there. That was kind of cool. The only thing I don't like about that, for solo at least, is trying to think of 3 actions for the enemy. I think it'd be better if I had my table that says what the enemy does. Or maybe the enemy just does one major thing on its turn if we're just a solo player, just for the sake of A, balance, and B, bookkeeping or mental bookkeeping.
Especially because with Beetle Knight, the customization is such a core mechanic. But you can switch out these emblems, they give you different powers, and so if you want to min-max your character, you can. And of course, that's kind of stolen right from Hollow Knight, because they have the little badges or whatever that do different things to your character and give you different powers. So, yeah.
Okay, that was combat. We're not going to try and chase this thing, I don't think. Now, let me just see about resting and about advancement. So knights gain more power by gaining new special items. Okay, so it's the special items that give you the power. You don't get XP. I think it's unlikely this thing dropped its emblem, but that sounds like something that would happen in this sort of video game world. So I'm going to ask, did this thing hang on to its emblem? Because I think it's more likely. And the answer is yes, that it did. Yes, it did hang on to its emblem. Blue is higher, but that's not important for now. So resting. After resting for a few hours in a safe and homey place, you heal completely. Or after resting for a few hours in the wild, you heal by your might die rolled twice, recover half your spent resolve. So we are going to spend some time resting, I think. We're quite tired out after the fight, and we find sort of a safe place under one of these leaves, taking what we learned from this thing that you can hide under these leafy things. And we take some time to rest. And we enter a new hex. So as we move into this next hex, we're going to draw a new card. It's either going to be an encounter or a location. That is a red 7 of hearts. So happily that's a location. And the 7 of hearts is a soft, damp moss covers a meter diameter dome of stone. The mossy cushion of the ground is covered in mewing mites and tiny tardigrades. 4 exits, okay. So our exits are everywhere but down to the southeast and also down to the southeast. So it is 4, I think it's including the one we came in, and also to the west. Okay, so a bit like Uluru, previously known as Ayers Rock in Australia, there's a massive stone just sitting in the middle of this place, dominating the space, and this was clearly some kind of a meeting hub. As I draw on my little hex here, I can see these 4 exits leaving from this big central stone. And so this is clearly a meeting place of some kind, a very important place. And so it says it's surrounded by mites and stuff. I think this is a place to pilgrimage, to make pilgrimage towards. Let's see what sort of factions are involved and who might be here. Who looks kind of religious. Here we go. The Vermilion Brigade. The Holy Vermilia Empire could not continue to exist without its network of loyal soldiers who enforce its laws and protect its settlements from all threats, external and internal. The profile view of a helmet constructed for a fire ant head including protection for its antennae. Interesting. Are the Vermilion the fire ants? So I'm using a bit of creative license here, and I'm imagining that there is this older Vermilion empire, this ant empire, and they are gathered here around this stone. This is an important meeting place for them somehow, and they are actually protecting against the incursions from the west, from this fire ant nation as well. They maybe are they're a different kind of ant, maybe, or they're just they got split up a while ago and they have different religious beliefs or whatever. And these are the holy ones who have started to have to build a military force to try and defend against the invading Vermilion, the invading fire ant nation, which we're going to call something else. As we walk into this scene, and I think this scene is an ant leader standing atop this rock, and there's like maybe a war camp set up around it with like little tents built up around this rock, and they're giving a speech. They're giving a big propaganda speech about claiming their rightful place on the Vermilion throne by vanquishing her vile niece, either on the battlefield or in the court of Prince Elector Opinion. They want to expose the Jade Sovereign as a fraud and restore the Emerald Sovereign. Okay, so we then come up and we start maybe... Is this an established camp? Yes, it is, with the red being higher. So it is an established camp, and there's a bustle of activity around here. They are about to send off a group to go and hunt down. I think maybe someone from the Emerald thing has been seen recently in the area, and they're sort of setting the Jade Sovereign, and they're setting up small groups of scouts to go and investigate. And I want to see, where do these rumors actually come from? I'd like another rumor now, and I'm going to give myself one for the sake of getting through a session. Although we probably won't get through the whole haul up to the boss just in this session, but let's just go. I'm going to give myself a rumor, and it is an 8 of spades. So as we're going around and talking through this camp and maybe resupplying a little bit, finding out what's going on, we find out that this instigator is actually Rosalind of the Divine, and they believe that they speak directly to the La Luna during meditation. Claims La Luna has named them the righteous ruler of the Holy Vermilia Empire. Okay, making a note about that. So I'm going to find out where this place is, because this might be important. Their headquarters is the Holy Vermilion Imperial Palace atop the highest of the 7 anthills of the city of Formecca. So let's find this city, and let's draw a random location for it. So Formecca is the jewel of the Holy Vermilion Empire, the 4 massive anthills with the Holy Vermilia Imperial Palace nested atop gleaming silver arches, the largest city in Litterfall, and the headquarters of the Vermilion Brigade. It does not say where it is, so let us draw it randomly. It is... I'm assuming it's in the forest floor, because it's anthills. It's an ace. Ace of hearts. So it is down in the... That's fitting that it's an ace. So this is 4 massive anthills. Okay, so we now have that as a location on our map as well. And we have a rumor that this person claims to be the chosen ruler of this empire. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I think I'm really happy with that as a first session and a setup for the campaign and just learning the game a little bit. Maybe tweak a few things with the combat, like I said, just for the solo play. But I really do love a hex procedure, and I do like this idea of trying to find your way through the hexes where there's not necessarily entrances to the hex you want to get to. You kind of have to explore around and find your way in. And as I said at the beginning, this rumor system is really, really cool. I really like that. We have 2 rumors now, so in 2 more rumors time, so I'd say 1 more session's time, probably, we could find out the location of this instigator, this Rosalind the Divine, and track her down and hopefully take her out. That is Beetle Night, playing in the world of Litterfall on the Solo Roleplayers podcast. Thank you so much for being with me here today. If you're interested in Beetle Night, I highly recommend you go check it out. This is in the free/affordable game category, certainly for the digital version, although this physical version is really lovely. I do really like it. And yeah, that's part of our discussion on great little affordable games that you can go and check out yourself with minimal needed materials. Apart from the couple of books there and a deck of cards and some dice and some printed stuff, I really didn't need much. That is it from me today. I will leave the link to this game in the show notes, and I do recommend you go check it out. It is absolutely charming and a really interesting setting to play in. PJ from the temporal uncertainty of the editing room here. I just want to say that you may have realized this was an experimental format of an episode, and I'd really love to hear what you think. It was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of work. I'm not sure I'm going to do this very often, but I thought Beetle Night and Jim's interview deserved this, and I wanted to just give it a go. But let me know. Is it too much? Is it fun? Do you enjoy it? Send me an email. Reach out to me on Reddit or over on the Patreon chat. Let me know what you think. If you want to get the full-length 90-minute playthrough of this episode that this was made from, as well as the full hour-long episode with Jim, you can head over to Patreon/Solo Roleplayers. And as a free member, those episodes are available for you to listen to. If you're already a Patreon, both of those episodes will go into your premium feed. So you will have 3 episodes from this little session, as well as the part 2 of the Beetle Night play session coming up shortly. Also want to mention that after some hiccups, I do have my t-shirt store up live. You can go check that out. The links are in the show notes or over again on the Patreon. I'm probably not going to do it forever. I'd rather spend my time playing or editing. I like that much better than fiddling with internet stuff. But I did want to get some t-shirts up there for those people who requested them. And if you want to support me in that way as a one-time payment and get a t-shirt while you're at it, I think they're pretty cool. Go check that out. Anyway, back to PJ in the past, where he's probably saying that's it from me for the 3rd or 4th time, as usual. That's it from me today, and until next time, get an affordable game and try it out. You probably have one in your drive-through RPG or itch library anyway. Load it up, print it out if you want to, and just try it out. Do a little session, and you might find some really interesting ideas in there at the very least. I look forward to seeing you next time on the podcast for whatever we are up to, and in the meantime, do get a game out and play. Until then, bye.